Who told you to bring me this? Those were the first words Adrian Cole ever said to me, and if I had understood what they meant, I would have dropped that glass of whiskey and walked straight out of the hotel. Instead, I stood there holding a silver serving tray beneath the warm chandeliers of the Lexington Grand, wondering why the man at table 12 was staring at me like I had just delivered a message instead of a drink. My name is Claire Bennett. I was 26, working catering shifts between classes, and trying to make rent on a one-bedroom apartment in Queens that somehow got more expensive every year. That Friday night was supposed to be easy money. 5 hours serving wealthy donors at a private charity dinner in Midtown Manhattan, then the subway home before midnight. Nothing complicated, nothing memorable. At least, that was what I thought when my coworker Emily caught my arm near the service doors. Claire, please cover 12 for me. Just one drink. I need 5 minutes. She looked pale, nervous. I should have asked why. Instead, I glanced at the crystal tumbler on her tray. Amber whiskey. 1 large cube of ice. Who gets it? I asked. She pointed toward the far corner. Black suit. Alone. Then she disappeared through the kitchen doors before I could complain. I carried the drink across the ballroom. The closer I got to table 12, the quieter everything seemed. It wasn't actually quieter. The string quartet was still playing. Silverware still touched china. 200 guests still filled the room with polished laughter. But people gave that table space. Waiters changed direction rather than pass too close. Men in expensive suits stood near the walls without eating or drinking, their attention fixed on the same person. Adrian Cole. I didn't know his name yet. I only knew he looked about 34, with dark hair, a charcoal suit, and the kind of stillness that made everyone else seem restless. I approached from his right. Your whiskey, sir. His eyes lifted to mine. Gray. Calm. Assessing. I placed the tumbler beside his hand. He didn't touch it. He looked at the glass for several seconds, then at me. Who told you to bring me this? I almost laughed from nerves. Another server. I'm covering her table. Name. Something in his voice stopped my smile. Emily. His gaze returned to the whiskey. 3 men nearby suddenly stopped talking. My fingers tightened around the tray. Is something wrong? He leaned back slightly. Did you prepare this? No. Did you see who did? No. I just carried it over. For the first time, his expression changed. Barely. His eyes moved past me toward the service entrance. I followed his gaze. Emily wasn't there. Neither was our floor manager. Sir, if the drink is wrong, I can replace it. I reached for the tumbler. His hand moved between mine and the glass without touching me. Don't. One word. Quiet enough that nobody beyond our table should have heard it. Somehow, everyone did. I froze. Adrian looked toward one of the suited men standing near the wall. The man gave a small nod and walked toward the kitchen. My heartbeat began climbing. I think I should get my manager. Your manager has already left. I stared at him. What? He finally looked directly at me again, and there was no anger in his face. That frightened me more than anger would have. Claire Bennett, he said. Hearing my full name from a stranger sent a cold line down my spine. How do you know my name? His eyes flicked toward the little brass badge pinned above my uniform pocket. I felt ridiculous for half a second. Then he said, Claire, you didn't serve the wrong drink. His gaze settled on the untouched whiskey between us. You served the wrong man. I did not move. For 3 seconds, maybe 4, I stood beside Adrian Cole's table with the empty silver tray pressed against my waist, and every instinct telling me I had walked into something I did not understand. Around us, the charity dinner continued beneath the chandeliers. A waiter poured wine. Someone laughed near the windows. The string quartet moved into another song. Normal sounds. Normal people. But nothing at table 12 felt normal anymore. I need to find Emily, I said. Adrian glanced toward the kitchen doors. My associate is doing that. Your associate? Sit down, Claire. I stared at the empty chair across from him. I am. Working. Not anymore. That irritated me enough to cut through my fear. You do not get to decide when my shift ends. One of the men near the table looked at me as if I had just broken some unwritten rule. Adrian did not. If anything, his expression became more interested. Then consider this an unpaid break. I would rather consider it none of your business. I turned toward the service corridor. A man in a dark suit appeared near the doorway before I had taken 2 steps. He did not touch me. He simply stopped and looked toward Adrian, waiting. That was when I understood something important. Adrian did not need to raise his voice. He did not need to repeat himself. People watched him for permission. I slowly turned back. What is going on? Adrian gestured toward the chair again. This time I sat, mostly because standing suddenly felt worse. The untouched whiskey remained between us. Tell me exactly what happened before you brought this over. I swallowed. Emily stopped me near the service doors. She asked me to cover your table for 5 minutes. Did she seem nervous? I remembered her pale face. The way she had disappeared before I could ask questions. Yes. Did she give you the glass herself? Yes. Adrian's jaw tightened almost invisibly. Did anyone else touch it? Not that I saw. A phone appeared beside him. One of his men had returned. He leaned down and spoke quietly enough that I caught only 2 words. Emily. Gone. My stomach dropped. She left. I asked. Adrian's eyes moved to mine. Through the employee exit 7 minutes ago. I pushed my chair back. Then I am leaving too. No. The word landed softly. I stared at him. Excuse me. Someone used you to put that glass on my table. Whoever arranged it now knows you were involved, whether you understood your role or not. I was carrying a drink. Exactly. Then call hotel security. Already done. Call the police. Adrian paused. This is more complicated than that. I hated those words immediately. Complicated was what landlords called rent increases. Complicated was what hospitals called insurance bills. Complicated should not have been sitting across from me in a tailored suit, while strangers quietly watched every exit. I have nothing to do with you, I said. I want to go home. Something in Adrian's expression softened, but only slightly. Where is home? That is absolutely none of your business. Queens. My breath caught. He nodded toward my employee badge again, where the catering company had printed my borough beneath my name. You should stop assuming I know things I do not. You should stop making me feel like I am being investigated. For the first time, the corner of his mouth almost moved. Then his attention shifted past me, and whatever warmth had appeared vanished. The man who had searched for Emily was holding up a phone. On its screen was a security image from the service hallway. Emily was leaving through the rear door. Beside her stood someone I recognized. My floor manager. Adrian looked at me again. Claire, listen carefully. I believe you did not know what you were carrying. Then let me leave. I cannot. My pulse quickened. Cannot, or will not. He leaned forward, his voice calm enough to make every word heavier. Until I understand why they chose you. You stay where I can see you. I stared at Adrian, waiting for the part where he smiled and admitted he was joking. It never came. You cannot keep me here, I said. I am not keeping you in this hotel. That sounds suspiciously specific. His eyes held mine. You can walk through those doors whenever you want. I pushed my chair back. Good. But you will not be going home alone. I stopped. There it was again. That impossible calm. Adrian spoke like a man who had spent his entire life expecting the world to rearrange itself around his decisions. I take the subway, I said. Not tonight. Then I will get a cab. Not tonight. You are becoming very repetitive. Something almost like amusement crossed his face. And you are remarkably stubborn. I am a waitress who accidentally delivered your whiskey. You are turning it into a federal investigation. You are not a waitress. I frowned. I am literally wearing the uniform. You are a graduate student working catering shifts because Manhattan Rent does not care about your schedule. My stomach tightened. How do you know that? Adrian glanced at the man holding the phone. Your employee file took 30 seconds to verify. Anger replaced fear so quickly that my hands stopped trembling. You looked me up? I needed to know who was sitting across from me. You could have asked. That made him pause. Just half a second. But I noticed. You are right, he said. I had prepared 3 different arguments. His answer erased all of them. What? I should have asked. Nobody around him reacted, but something about the silence told me Adrian Cole did not say those words often. He stood. The movement was enough. 2 men near the windows straightened immediately. Another crossed toward the ballroom doors. No commands. No raised voices. Just motion answering motion. Come with me. That sounded like another order. Adrian looked back at me. Would you please come with me? I hated that the correction worked. I followed him through a private hallway lined with cream-colored walls and framed photographs of old New York. The noise of the gala disappeared behind us. At the elevator, I stopped. Where are we going? Upstairs. Absolutely not. The elevator doors opened. Adrian stepped inside, then realized I had not moved. He did not reach for me. He simply waited. Claire, The hotel has a private residential floor. There are cameras, security, and a guest suite with its own lock. You will have the key. And tomorrow? Tomorrow, if I confirm there is no risk, I personally make sure you get home. And if there is a risk? His expression changed. Then we deal with it. I folded my arms. There is no we. The elevator remained open between us. Adrian studied me for a moment, then stepped back out into the hallway. That surprised me more than anything else he had done. You are right about something else, he said. You did not ask to become part of this. Finally. But someone chose you tonight, Claire. I need to know why. The words settled heavily between us. My anger did not disappear, but something colder moved underneath it. Emily had chosen me. My manager had left with her. They knew my name. They knew where I worked. Adrian reached into his coat and handed me a plain white key card. Your room. Your lock. Your choice. I looked at the card but did not take it. And where will you be? Across the hall. Why? His answer came without hesitation. Because until I know you are safe, nobody gets close to you without going through me first. The key card felt strangely heavy in my hand. I had taken it eventually, mostly because standing in that hallway arguing with Adrian Cole at nearly midnight was not getting me any closer to understanding why Emily had used me. The guest suite was larger than my entire apartment in Queens. Floor-to-ceiling windows looked over Manhattan, turning the city into a field of white and gold lights. There was bottled water on the counter, clean towels stacked beside a marble sink, and a bed that probably cost more than 3 months of my rent. I hated all of it. Not because it was beautiful, because none of it was mine. I locked the door, tested it twice, then called my roommate, Rachel. I told her the catering company had put me in a hotel because the event had run late. It was a terrible lie, but it kept her from worrying. 20 minutes later, someone knocked. I froze. Claire. Adrian's voice. I opened the door 3 inches, leaving the security latch in place. What? He held out a paper bag. You did not eat dinner. I stared at him. Are you monitoring my meals now? You carried food for other people for 6 hours. I noticed you never stopped. That answer irritated me for reasons I could not explain. I am not hungry. My stomach immediately betrayed me with a low growl. Adrian looked down, then back at me. Your argument lacks supporting evidence. I almost laughed. Almost. I removed the latch and took the bag. Turkey sandwich. Potato chips. An apple. Nothing extravagant. Somehow that bothered me less. Thank you. You are welcome. He turned away. Adrian. He stopped. It was the first time I had used his name. What happens if you find Emily? His shoulders became still. I ask her why she involved you. And then I decide what comes next. There it was. That language again. Decide. Order. Control. I stepped into the hallway. You keep doing that. He turned. Doing what? Talking like everyone else is furniture you can move around. His expression hardened slightly. This is not the time. It is exactly the time. You checked my employee file without asking. You decided where I would sleep. You decided how I would get home. You even decided I needed dinner. I lifted the paper bag. For the record, you were right about dinner. That does not make the rest acceptable. Adrian stared at me. The hallway was silent except for the distant hum of the elevators. I am trying to keep you safe. Keeping me safe does not give you ownership of my life. Something changed in his face. Not anger. Something quieter. Like I had opened a door he had forgotten existed. You think that is what I am doing? I think you are so used to people obeying you that you have forgotten there is a difference between protecting someone and controlling them. For several seconds, he said nothing. A man appeared at the far end of the hallway, clearly waiting for Adrian. Adrian raised one hand without looking. The man stopped. Even now. One gesture, and the world waited. I pointed toward him. That is exactly what I mean. Adrian slowly lowered his hand. People around me follow instructions because hesitation can create problems. I am not one of your people. No, he said quietly. You are not. I expected another argument. Instead, he reached into his pocket, pulled out his phone, and handed it to me. A security photograph filled the screen. Emily stood outside the hotel beside my floor manager. Behind them was a dark sedan. On the passenger window was the reflection of another man. A man I recognized from the ballroom. He had been sitting 3 tables away from Adrian all night. My irritation vanished. Who is he? I whispered. Adrian looked at the photograph, then at me. Someone I trusted. I swallowed. And Emily? Still missing. I handed his phone back. So what happens now? Adrian started to answer, then stopped himself. For the first time since I had met him, he seemed to reconsider the words before saying them. What do you want to happen? The question caught me completely off guard. I looked at the locked door behind me, then at the city beyond the windows. I want the truth. Adrian gave one slow nod. Then tomorrow morning, I will tell you everything I know. He turned toward his room. And Claire. What? You were right. I waited. His voice dropped almost to a whisper. Protection without choice is just another kind of cage. I slept for maybe 4 hours. At 7:15 the next morning, I found Adrian in a private dining room at the end of the residential floor, standing beside a wall of windows with Manhattan waking beneath him. Coffee steamed from 2 cups on the table. One was black. The other had cream and sugar beside it, untouched. You did not decide how I take my coffee? I asked. Adrian turned. I am learning. I sat across from him. Then start with the truth. He did. The man reflected in the hotel photograph was Nathan Mercer, one of Adrian's senior business advisors. He had worked beside Adrian for 8 years and knew his schedules, meetings, and habits. Emily had been hired by the catering company only 3 weeks earlier. My floor manager had approved her application personally. So they planned for her to serve your table, I said. That is what it looks like. Then why hand the drink to me? Adrian's eyes narrowed. That is the question. He slid a printed photograph across the table. It showed the ballroom before dinner. Emily stood near the service station. Nathan was visible behind her, speaking to my manager. Something about the image bothered me. I stared longer. Adrian waited. Do you have another picture? Of what? The table. He handed me his phone. Several security images appeared. I moved through them slowly. Table 12. White linen. Silver place settings. Crystal glasses. Then I saw it. That is not your glass. Adrian leaned closer. Explain. The whiskey glass from last night had a square base with beveled corners. These have round bases. His attention sharpened. You are certain? I carried about 200 glasses yesterday. Yes, I am certain. I enlarged another image. A service cart stood near the kitchen entrance. On its upper shelf were 4 square-bottomed tumblers. Those came from the private bar upstairs. Adrian looked at me. How would you know that? Because catering staff complain about everything. Different departments use different inventory, so nobody spends Monday morning arguing about missing glassware. For the first time, Adrian looked genuinely impressed. He called someone and asked for footage from the private bar. 10 minutes later, his phone chimed. A new image appeared. Nathan Mercer stood beside that same cart shortly before the gala began. The room went very quiet. Adrian's expression became unreadable. He had access, I said. Yes. You trusted him. Adrian looked toward the city. Yes. One word, but it sounded heavier than all the others. I understood then that whatever world Adrian lived in, betrayal hurt there exactly the same way it hurt everywhere else. I looked again at the photograph. Something still felt wrong. Wait. Adrian turned back. Emily gave me the glass after you were already seated. Correct. But Nathan was in the ballroom. He could see your table. I pointed at the screen. If Emily was supposed to bring it herself, why disappear before she did? Adrian said nothing. My mind raced through the previous night. Emily's pale face. Her shaking hand. Her rushed words. Cover 12 for me. Just one drink. I remembered something else. She was scared. Of being caught. Maybe not. I stood so quickly my chair scraped the floor. What if she was trying to stop it? Adrian's eyes locked on mine. By giving it to you. No. By getting away from the person watching her. She knew I would notice if something was wrong. Why you? I thought about 3 weeks of shifts with Emily. Break room conversations. Complaints about customers. One small detail surfaced. Because she knew I never serve a drink without checking the table first. Adrian went still. But you did last night. My stomach dropped. Because my manager told me to hurry. Adrian reached for his phone. Claire, what was your manager's name? I answered immediately. Daniel Foster. Adrian stared at the screen. Then his expression changed. There is no Daniel Foster employed by the catering company. There is no Daniel Foster employed by the catering company. Adrian said it. Twice, the second time slower, as if the words might become less impossible if he gave them more room. They did not. I stared at his phone. That cannot be right. He supervised every shift I worked this month. Under that name. Adrian stood and called one of his associates. Pull every camera angle from the service corridors. I want a clear image of the man Claire knew as Daniel Foster. He ended the call and reached for his jacket. We are leaving. I folded my arms. Where? He stopped. Somewhere secure. This floor has private security. Things changed. Then explain what changed. His jaw tightened. I could almost see the old instinct returning, the one that expected obedience before explanation. Claire. No. You said you were learning. Silence. Then Adrian slowly set his jacket back on the chair. Nathan Mercer has a private office in a building I own 6 blocks from here. He asked to meet me there this morning. Before or after you discovered Daniel was fake? Before. A chill moved through me. And you were going? Yes. I looked at the photographs again. Nathan near the cart. Daniel near Emily. 2 men connected to the same night. Then I remembered the second glass. Do not go. Adrian's eyes lifted. Why? Because you are looking at Nathan like he is the answer. What if he is supposed to look like the answer? Adrian remained silent. I pushed the photographs toward him. Emily disappeared with Daniel, but Nathan stayed where every camera could see him. If someone planned this carefully enough to put a fake manager inside a catering company, why leave the obvious suspect standing beside the evidence? Adrian sat again. That small movement told me he was listening. What are you suggesting? I am suggesting you stop thinking like the most powerful person in the room for 5 minutes. One eyebrow rose. That sounds difficult. Try. To my surprise, he almost smiled. I pointed at the ballroom photograph. Think like a server. We survive by noticing what wealthy guests ignore. Who arrives late? Who changes seats? Who asks for something twice? Who watches the door instead of the menu? Adrian leaned forward. And what did you notice? I closed my eyes, rebuilding the room from memory. Chandeliers. White tablecloths. Champagne. Emily rushing past me. Daniel near the service doors. Nathan speaking with guests. Then something clicked. Nathan never ordered whiskey. Adrian went still. What? I served his table before Emily stopped me. Nathan drank sparkling water all night. But when I walked toward you with that glass, he watched me. You are sure? He stopped talking in the middle of a sentence. Adrian picked up his phone. Then he knew what the glass meant. Maybe. But that still does not prove he planned it. Adrian studied me for a long moment. What would you do? The question landed differently this time. Yesterday, he would have told me what was happening. Now he was asking. Do not meet Nathan at his office, I said. Bring him somewhere he believes you control. Somewhere public enough that nobody panics. Private enough that he talks. Adrian considered it. There is a restaurant downstairs. Closed until 11. Good. He made one call. 20 minutes later, I followed him into the empty restaurant. Morning sunlight stretched across polished tables. Nathan Mercer was already there. He stood when Adrian entered, confidence written across his face. Then he saw me. The confidence disappeared. Adrian noticed. So did I? He walked to the largest table and took the chair at its head. Nathan moved toward the opposite side. I remained standing behind Adrian, uncertain where I belonged. Adrian looked at the empty chair beside him, pulled it out, and met my eyes. Sit. I crossed my arms. Was that an order? Nathan looked confused. Adrian did not. He remembered. A quiet breath escaped him. No, Claire. He gestured toward the chair again. It was an invitation. And for the first time since I had carried that whiskey across the ballroom, I chose the seat beside him. Nathan did not sit. His eyes moved from Adrian to me, then back again. And for the first time I understood how much information could hide inside 1 second of hesitation. Why is she here? He asked. Adrian rested one hand beside his untouched coffee. Good morning to you too, Nathan. This is not a joke. Neither was last night. Nathan finally pulled out his chair. I already told you. I know nothing about the drink. I watched him carefully. Adrian had not mentioned a drink. Not once since Nathan entered. Beside me, Adrian became perfectly still. Interesting, I said. Nathan looked at me. What is? You knew we were talking about a drink. His expression changed, then recovered. Everyone at the gala heard what happened. No, they did not. I remembered the music, the conversations, the distance between the tables. Nobody made an announcement. Most guests probably thought Adrian disliked his whiskey. Nathan leaned back. You are letting a waitress interrogate me now. The insult should have embarrassed me. Instead, it clarified everything. Men like Nathan saw people in uniforms without really seeing them. Adrian turned toward me. Keep going. Nathan's face tightened. I thought about the ballroom again. You watched me carry the glass. You stopped talking when I approached Adrian. You knew it mattered before anything happened. Coincidence? Maybe. I folded my hands on the table. Then tell me why Daniel Foster does not exist. Silence. Tiny. Barely noticeable. But there. Nathan glanced toward the windows. Adrian saw it too. His voice became colder. Who is Daniel? I have no idea. A phone vibrated on the table. Adrian checked the message, then turned the screen toward me. It was another security photograph. Daniel stood outside the employee entrance 2 nights before the gala. Beside him was Nathan. My stomach tightened. Nathan stood abruptly. 2 of Adrian's associates appeared near the restaurant entrance, but Adrian lifted his hand. They stayed where they were. Sit down, Adrian said. Nathan looked at him. You really think she understands your world? No, Adrian replied. That is why she sees things we stopped seeing. Nathan slowly sat. For several minutes, nobody spoke. Then his shoulders dropped. The glass was never supposed to hurt anyone. I felt my breath catch. Adrian said nothing. Nathan continued. It was supposed to create confusion. Make you question your security. Make you cancel a business agreement scheduled for Monday. Why? Adrian asked. Because that agreement would remove several people from positions they have held for years, including you. Nathan looked away. That was answer enough. Where is Emily? I asked. Nathan looked at me with something close to regret. Safe. She realized Daniel had lied to her about what the assignment was. She panicked and left. Daniel took her somewhere quiet because she was afraid. Somewhere quiet? My voice sharpened. She has a family. People who are probably terrified. Nathan lowered his eyes. Adrian reached for his phone. I knew that expression now. The old Adrian was returning. The man who solved every problem through command and control. Give me the location, he said. Nathan hesitated. Adrian's voice dropped. Now. Adrian. He looked at me. What? Do not become exactly what Nathan expects you to become. His jaw tightened. Claire, Emily is missing. Then find her. Protect her. Bring her home. But do not turn this into revenge, just because revenge is easier than restraint. The room became silent. Nathan stared at me as if I had lost my mind. Maybe I had. I was a graduate student in a borrowed catering uniform telling Adrian Cole how to handle betrayal. But Adrian did not dismiss me. He looked down at his phone, then slowly placed it on the table. Give us the address, Nathan. Cooperate, and everyone leaves this room safely. Nathan studied him, surprised. Then he gave the address. Adrian sent it to his security team with one instruction. Bring Emily somewhere she feels safe. Let her call her family first. When he finished, he looked at me. There was something different in his eyes now. Not gratitude exactly. Recognition. You changed my decision, he said quietly. I shook my head. No. I reminded you that you had one. Adrian held my gaze. And in that moment, I realized the most dangerous thing about power was not having it. It was forgetting you could choose how to use it. Emily was safe. Adrian received the message 43 minutes after Nathan gave us the address, and I watched something invisible leave his shoulders when he read it. She had been found at a small rental apartment in Brooklyn with Daniel nearby, but she was unharmed and asking to speak with her sister. Adrian's people had arranged a car to take her wherever she wanted to go. No demands. No conditions. Just a ride home. And Daniel? I asked. Adrian slipped his phone into his pocket. He is no longer part of this problem. I gave him a look. That sounds intentionally vague. It means my attorney and hotel security have everything they need. The rest goes through proper channels. I blinked. You really are learning. Apparently, I have an exhausting teacher. By early afternoon, Nathan had left with his attorney. The hotel had turned over security records, and the strange little storm that had swallowed my life less than 24 hours earlier finally began to clear. I stood inside the guest suite wearing yesterday's clothes, staring at the city through the windows. My catering uniform smelled faintly like coffee and hotel soap. My shoes hurt. My phone showed 11 missed messages from Rachel. Everything about me belonged to my ordinary life again. There was a knock at the door. Adrian waited outside holding my coat. Your car is downstairs. My car. A car. Not your car. You told me you take the subway. I also told you I can make my own decisions. He nodded. Which is why the driver will take you anywhere you choose, including the nearest subway station. I took my coat. Progress. We rode the elevator down together. No guards crowded around me this time. No one blocked the doors. In the lobby, morning guests crossed the marble floor carrying luggage and coffee as if my entire world had not shifted inside this building. Adrian stopped beneath the chandelier. Claire. I turned. His expression was unreadable again, but now I knew that did not mean empty. Sometimes Adrian simply had too much to say and no practice saying it. You are free to go. The words should have made me happy. Instead, something tightened beneath my ribs. That sounds dramatic. It needs to be clear. He looked toward the revolving doors. No one will follow you. No one will watch your apartment. No one will interfere with your classes or your work. What happened here ends when you walk outside. I studied him. And if I never see you again? For the first time since we met, Adrian looked caught without an answer. He glanced down, then back at me. Then I will respect that. That hurt more than I expected. I had spent one night fighting for exactly this. Choice. Distance. My own life. Now he was handing all of it back without asking for anything. You could ask me to stay, I said quietly. His eyes held mine. I could. But you will not. No. Why? Adrian took a slow breath. Because yesterday I wanted you beside me because I believed I knew what was best for you. Today, if you stand beside me, I want it to be because you decided I deserved the space. Neither of us moved. The revolving doors turned behind me, opening again and again onto Lexington Avenue. Freedom was 20 feet away. I slipped on my coat. Goodbye, Adrian. Something flickered across his face. Goodbye, Claire. I walked toward the doors. 10 feet. 5. I kept expecting his voice behind me. It never came. Outside, Manhattan was loud and ordinary. Taxis moved through traffic. Someone argued into a phone. A delivery driver pushed boxes along the sidewalk. I should have felt relieved. Instead, when I looked back through the glass, Adrian was still standing beneath the chandelier. He had ruled every room I had seen him enter. Yet when it mattered most, he had finally chosen not to rule me. I turned away and kept walking, carrying the strangest realization of all. For the first time since meeting him, I was completely free to leave. And for the first time, part of me wondered what it would mean to choose to come back. 3 weeks passed before I saw Adrian Cole again. I returned to classes, late-night study sessions, and catering shifts that suddenly felt quieter than they had before. Emily called me twice. She was staying with her sister in Connecticut and had already found another job. She apologized so many times that eventually I made her promise to stop. None of what happened had been her choice either. Adrian never called, never sent flowers, never arranged for mysterious cars to wait outside my apartment. He had promised to give my life back, and apparently Adrian took promises more seriously than I expected. I should have been relieved. Instead, every time someone ordered whiskey, I remembered gray eyes across a white tablecloth. On a rainy Thursday evening, I was working a small corporate dinner at the Lexington Grand. By 9:30, most guests had left. I was collecting water glasses when one of the servers touched my elbow. Claire, table 12. My heart stopped. What about it? One guest asked for whiskey. I looked across the room. Adrian sat alone beneath the same chandelier. No circle of men. No silent wall of security. Just Adrian in a dark suit, one hand resting beside an empty glass. He saw me. He did not wave. He waited. I carried the whiskey myself. Same amber color. Same large cube of ice. This time, I had checked the glass twice. I placed it in front of him. You know, most people make reservations before disappearing for 3 weeks. The corner of his mouth lifted. I did not disappear. You did an excellent impression. I was respecting your choice. That is annoyingly reasonable. You taught me well. I looked at the empty chair beside him. Adrian noticed. For one strange second, neither of us spoke. Then he said, "How is school?" "Busy. Your roommate." Still convinced wealthy hotel guests are all emotionally unstable. She may be right. I laughed before I could stop myself. The sound felt different here now. Lighter. Adrian looked down at his whiskey, but did not drink. Claire, there is something I wanted to say. That sounds dangerous. Probably. He took a breath. I spent most of my life believing respect meant people followed when I spoke. Then you walked into my life and refused almost every instruction I gave you. Not every instruction. Enough to become memorable. His voice softened. You made me understand that obedience and loyalty are not the same thing. Neither are protection and control. I felt my throat tighten. Adrian, I am not asking you to enter my world. I am not asking you to change your life. I am asking whether I can be part of it. No command. No assumption. Just a question. I glanced toward the kitchen. My shift had ended 5 minutes earlier. I untied my apron and folded it over my arm. Adrian's eyes followed the movement. There is one problem, I said. What? I pointed at the chair beside him. You have not actually asked. Something warm entered his expression. He stood, pulled the chair out, and waited. Claire Bennett, would you stay? I looked at the man who once believed power meant never hearing no. Then I looked at the open chair. For one drink, I said. After that, we negotiate. Adrian smiled. A real smile this time. Fair. I sat beside him because I wanted to. That difference was everything. The first night we met, Adrian believed keeping someone close was something power could guarantee. 3 weeks later, he understood what all his influence had never taught him. Anyone can command a person to remain. The person who truly matters is the one who is free to walk away, looks back, and chooses the chair beside you.